Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News.
From our studios here in Accra, my name is Richard Delaskai with Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Tonight, I'm here with
Nete.
Coming up, weeks after Ghanaians decisively rejected the governing MPP's bid to break the 8, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo defends his embattled legacy in a farewell address to Parliament.
I leave behind, Mr. Speaker, a Ghana that is working. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I thank you for your attention.
Also tonight, the minority NDC has hit hard at the president, slamming the president's final State of the Nation address for missing, in their view, the mark.
Let me remind His Excellency, Honorable Speaker, that his tenure in office will remain a timely reminder of how not to govern the country.
The details coming up later this evening. Also, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission orders striking CETAG members back to the lecture halls. But what's CETAG's response? We'll bring you their reaction.
CETAG wants to declare a strike. We find it extremely unfortunate that you are withdrawing all services. That means a total shutdown of the institutions. And this is something that GTEC is totally against. So we've asked them to go back and reconsider their decision, at best, to call off the strike.
Plus, the Ghana Education Service says no to postponing the reopening of secondary schools, despite a shortage of funds and critical resources. We'll bring you the details. Eyewitness News is live on 97.3 Citi FM and across the country on our numerous partner stations, online at citinewsroom.com and wherever you get your podcast. Join the conversation and send us your comments via 054 9986 996 054 9986 996. Stay with us and let me take you to Nete Ajaho for the very first story for this evening.
President Akufo-Addo has declared that he is leaving behind a resilient and robust economy for the incoming administration. He highlighted that Ghana's gross international reserves have reached 8 billion Ghana cedis, underscoring the nation's financial stability. While admitting that the domestic debt restructuring program was a tough but necessary measure, the president stressed that it was vital for sustaining economic growth. Delivering his final State of the Nation address in Parliament on January 3, President Akufo-Addo firmly stated that Ghana is not broke.
Mr. Speaker, the country is not broke, as some propagandists want us to believe. We're handing over the country with gross international reserves of almost 8 billion United States dollars. This is more than the 6.2 billion United States dollars of gross international reserves my administration inherited in 2017. Economic growth. The noise will not shut out the statistics. Mr. Speaker, economic growth has also returned to the pre-COVID trajectory, with an impressive growth rate rising from 4.8% in the first quarter of 2024, 7% in the second quarter, and 7.2% in the third quarter. It is projected that this year's growth rate will be 6.3%, significantly higher than the 3.4% my administration inherited in 2017.
He also defended the government's decision to carry out a banking sector cleanup, describing it as a necessary intervention rather than a punitive exercise.
Let me at this juncture state unequivocally that the banking sector cleanup undertaken by my administration was an act of necessity, not of vendetta. It was a bold and decisive intervention to safeguard the strength and integrity of Ghana's financial system. The illegalities and irregularities perpetuated by the affected banks and financial institutions are well documented and indisputable. These practices threaten the very foundation of our banking sector and jeopardize the hard-earned savings of millions of Ghanaians. Our actions ensure that not a single depositor lost their money, an unprecedented achievement in financial crisis management. Today, the results are there for all to see. A more robust, stable, and resilient banking sector capable of driving economic growth and supporting the aspirations of our people. It was a necessary decision to restore public confidence and secure the future of Ghana's financial sector.
Additionally, President Akufo-Addo announced that government will today make an advance payment of approximately $346 million to Eurobond holders. This marks the second payment to bondholders following the initial payment in October last year.
Let me at this juncture state unequivocally that the banking sector cleanup undertaken by my administration was an act of necessity in a neighborhood of widespread not of vendetta. It is no longer an assumption that we can make that our land will be safe and secure. Ghana, by the grace of God, remains the only country in the neighborhood that has not fallen victim.
President Akufo-Addo speaking there.
Well, apologies for that mix-up. 97.3 Citi FM is the station. This is Eyewitness News. Let's go onto the line and speak to a clear voice within the financial space. Joe Jackson is the Chief Executive Officer of Dalex Finance, and he's also a financial analyst, one of the clear voices we've been hearing over the past 8 years or so on the performance of this government when it comes to the financial sector. What will be his verdict on the president's own assessment of himself when he appeared before Parliament much earlier today? Good evening, sir, and thank you so much for joining us on Eyewitness News. Your immediate comments on what the president had to tell Parliament and by extension Ghanaians today on his performance when it comes to the financial sector.
Good evening, and it's good to talk to you. Listen, first of all, it is to be expected that the president will talk up his performance, will talk up his government, and will talk up what happened. That is to be expected. So in a lot of ways, we are not surprised. Now, the reality of those of us in the sector would be slightly different, and we may beg to differ. One of the things he talked about, I'll start with what I agree with him. I agree that the financial sector cleanup was necessary. I agree that it was required. Otherwise, there was a bigger financial collapse that could happen. I may even agree with how they went about it. The part that I don't agree is the fact that so very little money was recovered from the cleanup, such that the cost of the cleanup ended on the public purse. If you think about it, less than 10% was recovered. So that means that those who, by their action or inaction, caused us so much pain, effectively got away with it. Now that is the part that I disagree with in implementation. Was it necessary? Yes. But why wasn't more money collected back? Why did that whole amount of money have to hit our purse? In other jurisdictions, They had financial sector cleanups. And yet the institutions, the government and the central bank was able to recover the money that was spent. In some instances, even make a little profit. So on the financial sector cleanup, I have to agree that it was necessary. But the problem is, what he didn't talk about was the recovery. Obviously, because the recovery was so poor that there was very little to say about it. So, Richard, first of all, we should not be surprised that he's talking up the performance of the economy, talking up the performance of the financial sector. But the recovery was so bad, and it hit the public purse so badly.
What would have been a better approach in terms of the recoveries you were talking about?
Well, first of all, we should have had some fast-track methods of going after. There were some fantastic sums put out. There were people put out that they had caused, they agreed, and etc. But the money, none of those monies were recovered. And a fast-track court, maybe negotiation with those persons to take the money back rather than use alternative dispute resolutions to negotiate recovery of the money rather than a court, whatever it is. We should have recovered that. We should have recovered the money. I think that we could have done better with alternate dispute resolution mechanisms. We could have done better with fast-track courts if necessary. But what we did not work.
Some have mentioned going after the assets of the directors and also, of course, the heads of these banking institutions, effectively lifting the veil as to deal with them directly as the people responsible for the losses that we have seen. Are you one of the people who believes that perhaps this approach ought to have been used in support of the other approaches deployed?
You see, at a certain level, the law of the land tells us that if you are a director, you bear fiduciary responsibility for the institution, not just in the banking sector, but any company. And so if a company's affairs have been mismanaged, directors are responsible. And you are responsible either for raising new money to recapitalize or responsible for making sure that if there has been fraudulent behavior, it is recovered. As directors, you can't just lift up your arms and stand aside, right? And though it may sound harsh to go after the directors in an unlimited way, we should have negotiated more to recover the money that was taken, especially where insider and related party transactions were the cause of some of the problems we had.
Okay, now let's talk about what the incoming administration should do about this sector. Of course, there is no limitation when it comes to prosecuting what is deemed to be a crime. Do you think that what the current administration has done about the problem should end the prosecutions, or you think that a future administration should be able to continue from where this administration is leaving off?
Well, first of all, I will quote an Akan proverb for you. And the Akan proverb says that Mamuezin Weziko Makan not be a bohuban. To wit, what the birds and the animals have eaten is gone. What is left is what should be protected. I think that we should look at the financial sector. There's still quite some weaknesses in certain areas. We should support the institutions left and help them get out of it without going the same route and leaving the public purse holding the bill. But I'm not in favor of returning licenses, etc. I think we should move forward. It has been a really bad experience. We have suffered, the public purse has suffered, but I think we should move beyond this, protect what is existing, assist the institutions that are available, and move forward. at this moment, returning licenses, and if there are some obvious criminal things that were done, definitely let's go after them and try and recover the money if the statute of limitations hasn't expired yet. But otherwise, let's look forward rather than look backward.
Now, let's deal with the other issues that the president spoke about within your area of expertise. He suggests that, look, it appears that we are out of the woods when it comes to repositioning the Ghanaian economy following the COVID devastation that we saw. And he also went on to say that things are in a better shape and the economy is back to where it was before COVID. What is your firm assessment of this claim by the president? Do you think the facts support his claim?
I would respectfully beg to differ with His Excellency, the President, in that assessment. Listen, some of the current numbers are incredible. And the descent has been very rapid after 2022, just 2.5 or so years ago. In 2022, if I gave you 100, I gave you 600 cedis, that was $100. If I gave you 6,000 cedis, that was $1,000. Today, if I give you 600 cedis, it is barely $32. If I give you 6,000 cedis, it is barely $320. 68% of our purchasing power has been wiped out. How can we say we've been returned to pre-COVID situation? How many people have had their incomes go up by 68% in the last 2 years? The numbers they just don't agree with his assessment. Listen, it's easy to say that, inflation has come down from the height of 50% at the end of 2022 to now 25 or 23%. But let me run you through a little calculation. Suppose there was an item that you bought for 100 cedis at the beginning of a drug that you bought for 100 cedis at the beginning of 2022. 50% year-end inflation means that at the end of the year, that item had gone up from 100 cedis to 150 cedis. If in 2023, the inflation ended around 33%, it meant that from 150 cedis, you add another 50 cedis to the 150 cedis. Now, at the end of 2023, this same item costs 200 cedis. Now, if today, end of 2024, we say even kindly the year-end inflation is 25%, it means now, listen, the item that cost 100 cedis at the beginning of 2023 will cost you 250 cedis. Is that returning to pre-COVID? It's not possible. Things are too tough. The reality and sadly, just maybe that was half the problem. That there's not enough recognition of how dire things are, and that was the reason why there was such a rejection of the ruling party at the last election. Things are tough.
So it would seem that you would agree with those who say that perhaps the president ought to have shown much more candor and to say that, look, he was sorry about some of the policies that have brought untold hardship onto Ghanaians. Is that what the view is?
When I suffer such a precipitous decline in my standard of living, in my purchasing power, whoever presides over the economic management of this country must say something to comfort me, even if it wasn't their fault. And when there's an issue to believe that some of it was their fault, then I need something more than things are better. We haven't even started talking about the domestic debt exchange program, where it's spoken of as if some money was saved for the country. That was not what happened. What happened was that we declared bankruptcy. We declared that we couldn't pay. And we put a gun to the people who had given us money. We put a gun to their heads and forced them to take a haircut. I'm sorry, but I have to disagree with the government's assessment. Things have been tough.
Okay.
And definitely, I don't think we have returned to pre-COVID standards of living, pre-COVID salaries in terms of the value, in terms of our... No, we haven't.
All right.
I think any attempt to say that it will be unkind to the situation, the economic situation that we find ourselves in at the moment.
Very finally, sir, we're talking about COVID, pre-COVID, and just yesterday and including today, news is rife that China is grappling with a new surge of respiratory illness that they are calling the HMPV. And there are fears that it could escape the borders of China and do damage across the world. What, in your view, should be the response of world leaders to this emerging threat, if indeed it becomes one?
Well, I've heard the breaking news, and we are waiting to listen. But you've got to remember that one of the things that this world did well was that we came up with a way of creating vaccines that we can apply to other threats of similar nature. So whereas we don't want a repeat of COVID, I don't think the next threat will be as devastating as this was, because there are lots of lessons we learned from COVID. The design of vaccines have changed forever. And we should be able to react in a much faster way to the new threats that are coming up. So whereas we should be cautious, there is hope that the lessons from COVID will stand us in good stead if there's any similar threat in the near future.
Thank you so much, Joe Jackson, for talking to us this evening. He is the CEO of Delek Finance, speaking to us in response to the President's claims before Parliament today about the state of our finances and generally the economy. Paul Chumberima is the Member of Parliament for the Doma East constituency on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party. He's joined us on the line with a few comments. Sir, good evening and thank you so much for joining us. It would seem that the President went before Parliament and was talking up his record, but some suggest that a clear verdict was pronounced by the Ghanaian people on the 7th of December, rejecting in entirety his party's bid for re-election, and that should settle matters. What is there to say again?
Richard, thank you very much, and let me say good evening to your cherished listeners. Clearly, I think Akufo-Addo did not go for a contest. You can say that, yes, it's part of his achievement and part of the work that he did was part of what the New Patriotic Party campaigned upon. However, today, he came to render his account that the 8 years that you've given me to serve you as a president, this is what I've achieved. I've been able to establish a free SHS, making sure that about 5 million students get education. I've been able to bring in companies who are constructing industries that very soon we're going to move into the production sector. He is thinking about he's thinking about, he's doing the Agenda 111, that he thinks that, I heard you talking about some unexpected respiratory disease that is going to come up, that even if it comes up, we'll be able to have some medical centers to handle. He said that's what he has done. Indeed. When he said that he has done all that, the MPP said, based on what Akufo-Addo has done, we think we can do more and do better. And Ghanaian says, no, we don't want the MPP to come again. We believe that MPP is given a lot of chances. You've done what you can. We want to allow a different party to take over. We want a different person to lead us, to also for us to see what he can do, whether he can improve on what you've done, he can do it better, or what we will see. And that's what Ghanaian said. Clearly, they have not rejected Akufo-Addo's government, but they feel they need a new person to take over the reins of this country, and that's what they've done.
But the facts support the claim that Ghanaians were not happy with the performance of the MPP in government, and they rejected the man who was number 2 to the president and his party. So you have to make that concession that indeed you did not do what Ghanaians expected you to do for 8 years.
Clearly, I agree with that. At a point in time, everybody was going through hardship across the globe. It was not Ghana alone. Indeed, even now, if somebody tells you that Ghana is okay, we can't say we are out of the woods. We are not. We are still in the process. Today, when they were saying that our economy was going to grow at a certain pace, we can confidently say that it's growing at a pace faster rate now due to the good work that has been done over the years, 7 years, economy processes, policies that were put in place that up to now. And that's what we are enjoying. It may not be reflecting in people's pockets, but the prayer is that whatever has been put in place will reflect in people's pockets. And that's what we are doing. But in doing so, they believe that, no, you still have not done the best. There's more that we expected from you, and you couldn't do it, as you're saying. And we need a different government, a different person to come and take over. So it's not about rejecting somebody. The Ghanaians believe that we need a different person to handle our affairs for us, and the power belongs to them, and you cannot challenge it, and that's what we have done.
Now, some take the view that the president ought to have said sorry to the people he led over the last 8 years in order to take on board the fact that he was or he is responsible, together with his team, for some of the problems we see in Ghana today. And that to the extent that he did not say sorry or he did not render an apology to Ghanaians, he was still kuntai. Would you agree with that view? Do you think that the president ought to have at some point said, Ghanaians, I promise you so much, I have delivered so much, but I still let you down in many ways. For that, I am sorry.
In his last State of the Nation address, he acknowledged and actually accepted that there are challenges. Indeed, he stated it in his State of the Nation's address.
But that is not the same as saying, I apologize for my role in all of this, or my failure to deal with the problem.
If you say his failure, his role as in what?
Commander-in-Chief, President of the Republic, leader of the nation.
But the president did not bring in COVID. The president was not the one who said, you know what, my country is doing well, but to bring in COVID. He didn't. He was the one. It was unexpected. Nobody expected COVID to come in. The president was not the one who said, you know what, Russia and Ukraine start fighting so that the economy will jam across the whole globe. No, he's not that. So yes, in all this, he put in effort to ensure that Ghanaians will save lives of the COVID. Ghanaians.
No, that's not what the people were talking about. They were saying that even though there was COVID, your government used the opportunity to dip, your hands into the public purse. Many of these things have been reported in the media. Again, the claim was made to the effect that there was massive corruption under the president's reign. Many of these things were not properly addressed. The government was borrowing on the international stage, left, right, and center, even locally. Many of these resources were, according to critics, mismanaged.
Look at the good thing about this. In 4 days, Ghanaians have taken a decision that we want to ensure that if this thing happens or not. In 4 days, there will be a new government. We will live to see that what they said really do exist or not. In 4 days. Indeed, based on these actions, that's why Ghanaians said we want or we need a new government. Based on this. And they have voted for a new government. And that new government is supposed to establish all these. In 4 days, we will all be here to see if they're able to establish all these for us. And that is what we all will have to now pray for, the government that claims that somebody has dipped their hand into the government coffers, they have overborrowed, they are corruption. I don't think we are far from establishing the truth.
So as far as you are concerned, there's no need for any apology from the president?
Oh, I don't think that. If I do remember what, the president accepted and really acknowledged that there are problems in the country.
It is not the same thing as apologizing.
If he's apologized that what? You gave me opportunity to lead you and I failed. Failed as in what?
Well, Paul Chumberima, Member of Parliament for the Doma East constituency, thank you so much for talking to us. This is Eyewitness News. My name is Richard Dela Sky. We're coming to you live from Accra. Your comments are welcome. 054-998-6996. Natalie, shall we take some of the comments coming in before we do some other stories?
Okay, now Mausi Ayebi I-Star from Abutia Teti in the Volta region says President Akufo-Addo's claim about inheriting $6.2 billion from Mahama while leaving behind nearly $8 billion does not reflect the reality many Ghanaians experience. The economic challenges faced by citizens contradict the assertion of better performance. It's vital to acknowledge the complexities of governance rather than oversimplifying the financial legacy of past administrations. Accountability and transparency must guide our discussions. Now, a professor from Tema also says, please, over the past 10 years, all students who have written BC are not up to 5.7 million. So where did they get that number as beneficiaries of free SHS in 8 years? This can easily be ascertained by the media from WAEC. It's disrespectful for the education minister to be lying and misleading the president to repeat the same. Now, Paul Aka Jr. from Ahafu says, either the country is broke or not. We have finally bid you and your family farewell for the pains and sufferings you put us through. You are the reason why NPP lost the elections. We hope you gather the remnants of the party and build a better party, Mr. President, and your family. Now, Yao from Achimota also notes that this is not the first time we heard such a State of the Nation address, and it won't be the last. 4 years from now, we'll hear the same. Jones Adoboy from La says, is the president not aware that Ghanaians are tired about this rhetoric and sloganeering? Even at this dying moment, he still wants Ghanaians to believe in his lies. No wonder the huge defeat. Indeed, Ghanaians are angry enough.
We can hear your views too on the show. 054-998-6996, 054-998-6996. This is Eyewitness News. Still ahead, we'll be telling you about the reopening of senior high schools across the country. There's some uncertainty there, but the GES is telling all of us that the schools must reopen regardless of the challenges that the schools appear to currently face, according to CHAS. Send in your comments, 054-998-6996. Let's take you to some additional stories.
Now, President Akufo-Addo has praised the country's security agencies and their respective ministerial leaders for maintaining the integrity of Ghana's border security. The president made these remarks during his final State of the Nation address, where he reflected on key developments and accomplishments in national security during his tenure.
Spread instability. It is no longer an assumption that we can make that our land will be safe and secure. Ghana, by the grace of God, remains the only country in the neighborhood that has not fallen victim to terrorist violence. It has taken a lot of concerted effort, and dare I say a lot of money, to enable us to protect our country from the ravages of the variety of terrorist groups operating and destabilizing other countries in the neighborhood. I wish to pay great homage to the security services and their ministerial leaders for the work they do every day to keep us safe.
President Akufo-Addo speaking there.
Okay, let me take you back to the phone lines and speak to the Honorable Ni Lante Vanderpoel, who is the Member of Parliament outgoing for the Odododiodo constituency here in the Greater Accra region. His reactions to the President's claims regarding the security sector and more. Good evening, sir, and thank you so much for joining us. Would you be one of those people who would agree that the President has kept Ghana safe and he's handing over a country that has a stable environment?
Well, thank you very much, and let me say good evening to your listeners and to all of us. Let me say yes, to some extent, I will agree that this country is blessed with safety, let me say, assurance of safety and security in the midst of controversies and the midst of the problems we have in the sub-region, especially our northern neighbors. It is only prudent to say that we are blessed with security and international peace as far as this country is concerned. But it wouldn't be mainly because of the President. It's because of, let me say, that Ghana has, through its international and foreign policy, executed act of, let me say, compromise, and also we've not too much interfered in the internal affairs of other nations. Like the late President May said, the Ufiasem. So we've been a haven for most of our neighbors who have found themselves in turmoil. And I said that perspective of ours is respected by our neighbors. And the respect they have for us as a country and an oasis of peace in West Africa has more transmitted that message of security to all those who otherwise will have thought that they could find this place as another place to advance their rebel or, let me say, destructive activities.
There are people listening to you who say that, well, I mean, you would criticize the President for the mess we see within the financial and the economic sector generally. But when it comes to security, although things are fairly stable, you are not prepared to give him all the credit for providing the kind of leadership that has ensured stability, the stability we're all talking about or seeing.
Oh, I have said that it will not wholly be for his, let me say, able leadership. We've seen since the time of Jerry John Rawlings. We have the Liberian crisis. We had the Sierra Leonean crisis. We've had the Ivorian crisis. We've had so many instances, and all presidents in this country in the past have ensured that those situations do not even get to our borders. So it will be the extraordinary or magical handiwork of Nana Akufo-Addo that has ensured that. It's the nature of Ghana's own security architecture and our national security administration that has made sure that this country is seen as a place where those activities are not permitted and they are not permissible. You see, security is not just about one person, and also security is not just about kinetic security. Ghana has been the beacon and has been at the apex of international negotiations and peacekeeping all over the world. And those people who are engaged in those activities know the pedigree of Ghana Army and the security services when it comes to keeping the peace. And I said, they have, as they say, they've played their game somewhere else, but they know that they can't take that game to Ghana. So that is there. Yes, the leadership, I would say, all has not been bad. He has some, his position once a time as a head of the ECOWAS also has ensured that we have maintained some level of, let me say, authority as far as maintaining peace, law, and order in the sub-region.
Now, there was an attempt by the President to deal with the area of youth without doing virtually anything about the sports sector. First of all, what, in your view, is the legacy of the President when it comes to projecting and dealing with the problems of the youth, unemployment, for instance, the interventions that he said he introduced, including the one district, one factory policies that were mentioned, and then also getting into the area of sports. It would seem that the president's speech was virtually silent on the matter of his government's performance in that particular area. Any comments you want to run on those?
Well, it summed up in the comment I made when the president finished speaking. I said, "One can hear cry," and the whole house burst into laughter. The president was consistent in one thing, praising himself where he doesn't deserve praise, and also, let me say, presenting certain figures and certain scenarios that are not factual. You understand? Some of the time he wasn't too accurate. I wouldn't want to say the president lied, but the fact is that he wasn't too accurate in a lot of issues. But on the issue of sports, as you said, why would the president come and say, a president who always wants to be seen as somebody who is perfect, who has performed excellently, in the area of sports where he has performed so poorly, why would you want him to talk about it? He didn't want to talk about it because he accepts the fact that sports is one area where he has performed so poorly. Youth development is one area the government has performed so poorly, because in spite of all these so-called interventions, the NAPCO, planting for food and jobs and all those things, all indicators show that the president failed in that area. For sports, this is the only time that in our country's history in the past years, over 20-something years, we failed to qualify for the Cup of Nations, and we've even failed to qualify for CHAN. It's embarrassing. This is the only time in our history where, because of the conditions of our football pitches, we were virtually threatened with playing our home matches out of Ghana. You understand? And that is an embarrassment. For the past years, Ghana has not been able to achieve anything in the area of boxing, but for the performance of Samuel Techi at the Olympics, it's been poor. It's been very, very poor. So it is something that the president beautifully avoided, because that will have sparked off a lot of controversy, a lot of issues to him. He hasn't got any legacy at all to talk about when it comes to the area of youth development and sports.
Before you go, sir, and related to this matter, as the unfortunate incident we saw yesterday from an area, if I'm not mistaken, which forms part of your constituency, the Kantamanto fire outbreak that destroyed so many hundreds of shops and, rendered many people virtually without anything to do as we speak. The president briefly touched on this. In your view, what should the incoming administration do about that place and the fate of the people?
First, let me express my condolence to the family of the only victim of the fire disaster who lost his life. And secondly, let me express my empathy with all the people who have been affected by this unfortunate accident. It's becoming too many. In 2013, when I became a member of parliament, there were 5 fires within 3 months in my constituency. 2 years ago, there was another wildfire in the same area, and today. But let me say, this fire, the devastation caused by this fire, is unprecedented. I've just come from the place together with my colleagues, Honorable Samson Chirabata from Navrongo, Honorable Lisbeth Ofusejari from Techiman North, and Honorable Ritodo Lesowa from Lada de Kutupong. On behalf of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the Vice President-elect, Professor Jena Nopokwajiman, we extended the party and the incoming government sympathies and commiserations with the affected people, and we pledge the support of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to the people as soon as he assumes office from the 7th of January 2025. For now, we are waiting for the fire service and the police and the security services to be able to come to conclusions on what may have caused the fire and also what we should do in order to avoid these incidents once and for all. But let's all say this. Definitely, I think that in the NDC manifesto, we've expressed the desire to modernize all markets, just as we did with Kotokraba market and also with the KJT market. And I'm sure the NDC government will pursue that agenda so that we can modernize our markets, prevent such disasters, and preserve the incomes and the businesses of our traders in the country. It's very, very worrisome to always see our poor women and mothers go to take loans, and then fires will cause such serious devastation of their capital. It's bad. And I think that as a government, I'm very certain in my mind. I was privileged to have been Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, and I know trade facilitation is important. I was privileged to have been a Deputy Minister of Local Government, which has the mandate to manage markets. And I'm sure I had the capacity to be able to advise my government on how to be able to make sure we modernize our market very well. I host 3 big markets in my constituency. Makola Market, we host the Abubushi Market, and also the Katamanto Market. In fact, and there's another market, Timber Market. So 4 markets, not to talk about Salaga Market, not to talk about the London Market, which are smaller markets. So I have a fair idea as to what we need to do, and I'm sure that when my government has been sworn into power, I will consult with my people, the leadership of our government and the party, to be able to see what we can do in order to alleviate the suffering of our mothers and our fathers who will be affected by this unfortunate wildfire.
The Member of Parliament for the Ododo constituency, Ni Lante Vanderpoint. Thank you so much for talking to us this evening. Eyewitness News is coming to you live from our studios in Accra. My name is Richard Delaska. I'm here with Neti Ajahu. When we return, CETAG is saying a few things about their conditions of service and related matters. We'll hear exactly what their concerns are and some other stories concerning the education sector.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Hi, Aku. I just got the estimate for the home repairs. It's more than we expected. I'm really stressed about where to find the money.
Why worry, Musa? You are a salaried worker. Haven't you heard about the GCB personal loan promo? They can give you up to 700,000 Ghana cedis in less than 24 hours at a significantly reduced interest rate and fees.
Really? This sounds exciting, but is it easy to apply?
Super easy. Skip the stress. Get the cash with the GCB personal loan promo with a 1-month repayment holiday. Just visit a GCB bank branch near you or call 0302-634-922. Toll free 0800-422-422. No hassle, no stress.
Wow! I just got a notification. The loan is already in my account. That was fast.
Skip the stress and get the cash you need with GCB personal loan. Visit a branch near you today. Terms and conditions apply. GCB Bank, your bank for life.
Make the holidays unforgettable. Treat your family and friends to a celebration at the African Regent Hotel. Join us daily to enjoy delightful welcome drinks, mouth-watering delicacies, and soothing melodies in a relaxed atmosphere throughout the festive season. All at unbeatable offers. Plus, take advantage of our special holiday accommodations for a complete getaway experience. Come for unforgettable performances this and every Friday at Zong inside the African Regent Hotel from 6 p.m. If you're in need of a modern equipped space for conferences, meetings, events, and parties, call or WhatsApp us on 0268-265-386 or 0302-765-180 to make your reservations today. You can also email us on res@african-regent-hotel.com. African Regent Hotel. Simply Afropolitan.
It's time to reset yourself and everything else around you for success in the new year. Tune in to the Effective Living Series 2025 this January on Channel 1 TV and 97.3 Citi FM. Start your year with insightful discussions and expert tips on personal growth, health, success, and more. From the 6th of January, join Apioko and Caleb Kuda engage our guests with various expertise on the Effective Living Series for a comprehensive guide to resetting your life in 2025. Week 1 kicks off with personal reset. Week 2 focuses on resetting your personal economy. Week 3 is all about resetting your health. Week 4, resetting business, calibrate, remodel, and rebuild. Catch the Effective Living Series live on the City Breakfast Show on 97.3 Citi FM and Breakfast Daily on Channel 1 TV, Monday through Thursday. Don't miss out on transforming your life for the better every week, only on Channel 1 TV and 97.3 Citi FM. The Effective Living Series 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV and 97.3 Citi FM and is proudly sponsored by Hallmark Cafe. Hallmark Cafe, delight in every sip and bite.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Welcome back to Eyewitness News. Still ahead, we'll tell you why the Ghana Education Service is insisting that schools should reopen, defying a call from some interested parties for the postponement of the reopening of senior secondary schools or senior high schools across the country. For now, let's hear the story concerning CETAG and their concerns.
The Ghana Tertiary Education Commission (GTEC) has urged the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana (CETAG) to call off its strike to facilitate further discussions. This directive follows a closed-door meeting between GTEC and CETAG, where the latter's concerns were addressed after declaring a strike on Thursday, January 2. In a press briefing after the meeting, the Director General of GTEC, Ahmed Jinapo Abdullahi, described CETAG's strike action as poorly timed and unproductive. He called on CETAG to suspend the strike and engage in further discussions, assuring the association that GTEC is committed to resolving their concerns.
As a matter of fact, this is not happening just in a sudden, but we had to start with Fair Wages and Salaries Commission doing the mapping about 1 to 2 months at a very high cost borne by GTEC. And today, if for some reason, even informed by the historical doubts that has characterized this process, CETAG wants to declare a strike, we find it extremely, extremely unfortunate that you are withdrawing all services. That means a total shutdown of the institutions. And this is something that GTEC is totally against. So we've asked them to go back and reconsider their decision, at best, to call off the strike, and if for nothing at all, at the time that admissions are going on, WAEC results were released just 2 days ago. For you to withdraw all your services, then it means that you can't do admissions. How are admissions done? Admissions are done with the input of faculty. Heads of department administer admissions in terms of the minimum requirements to be admitted. Heads of departments as well as faculty are individuals who give counseling. In fact, when students come to choose courses, you should be the people to guide them. So if you say you've withdrawn all your services, then we find it extremely, extremely problematic. That notwithstanding, the Commission is very committed to getting you migrated onto the university salary structure. We are very committed to that. But you also have to meet us halfway. That halfway means that you have to go back, give your colleagues the assurance that you've gathered from us. And we, as a matter of urgency, require of you to do something about the strike. We are not asking for days, we are asking for hours, because the time is taken. As we indicated, admissions are ongoing, and it is in your interest that you admit qualified students, because whether you like it or not, you are the people going to teach them.
Sure.
So we want to thank CETAG leadership for coming here. We hope that our call on them will be adhered to.
Professor Ahmed Jinapo Abdullahi is the Director General of GTEC.
Let's get reactions. Maxwell Bunu is the president of CETAG. He's joined us on the line for some reactions. Good evening, sir, and thank you so much for joining us. So the call is that you should return to work Are you prepared to return to work?
Well, thank you so much, my brother, and good evening to your listeners. I think just as you have expressed in your news, we met the Director General of CETAG, Professor Ahmed Abdullah Janapor, this afternoon, and had some fruitful discussion. I need to say that what we saw today, probably if they were to show those documents to us, the commitments that they have made earlier wouldn't have been where we are. But in the past, it has always been documentations and promises. We have not seen any full action. But today, the controller experts or the technical men were also at the meeting to confirm that they've started the process of migration. But you and I know that for CETAG to embark on strike, it is not a sole decision from the president. It is a decision from council. So all that we have observed today, all that we have seen, the document that he has shown, and the information that came from controller, we need to brief council about what transpired today, and I think council will take a decision from there. And that's what I can say for now.
But in your own assessment as president, would you say that what you've seen today, it will be fair to call on your members at the meeting at which you'll be discussing this matter, that, well, based on what you've seen, it will be fair to actually return to the classroom?
Based on what I've seen today, I made it known to Prof this afternoon that it is not sufficient to enable us to suspend the strike or call it off. We are not calling off this strike. The best we can do is to moderate the element of the strike. And that is what I am actually going to discuss with council. Because we are, the issue that we're talking about, it did not start today. And I made a point earlier that the commitment level that we're talking about, if this had happened in the past, I'm sure the migration would have been done a long time ago. So if CETAG had to go on strike, then people are assembled, documents are shown to them, and then some financial commitments are also revealed. I think that's not the way to go. We want to see this migration thing completed. So we understand that, yes, based on today's meeting, there was some evidence shown, some financial commitment made to controller to get the migration done. But for us to just call off, I don't think that is feasible, but I can talk to council so that we moderate the degree of the strike, the things that we say, because currently we have withdrawn all services. So possibly we may have to take a second look at some of the things that we need to do to enable the first years to report to school come 13th January this year.
Yeah, because that is the concern of many parents, because as he stated, they are doing admission for new students to come into the system. You make important input into what ultimately gets done with the admission process. The withdrawal of your services would mean that this process will be undermined in many ways, and schools cannot immediately get new students into the system. Would you say that you would immediately deal with this matter so that the date of reopening would not have to be affected as a result of your strike?
My brother, I think the reopening date, I am in the college. It is not new. I mentioned it in one of your interview previously that colleges were supposed to reopen on the 18th of November 2024. That was supposed to be the beginning of the 2024-2025 academic year. It was because of the fact that the government failed to migrate members of CETAG onto the university salary structure. That was the reason why the calendar was deferred to 2025. So if a student was supposed to come to college in November last year, and you knew that it was because of the migration and other issues that CETAG had, that was why you were not able to reopen. I'm sure from November last year to this time around, if government was committed, they would have finished with the migration by now. But that didn't happen. So for us to just say that today because we have seen ABCD, so this was what we're going to suspend, I think it will be too difficult for us to do. But we understand that yes, parents have concern about the hard work coming to school. That's why I said that we are going to meet with council, explain to council what happened today, so that if possible, we moderate the degree of strike or the level of strike that we declared. I think that I'm sure council can take a look at it so that we can allow the first years to come. But possibly certain activities will not be done.
Now, let's look at another leg of this whole matter. There is a government that is going out of office. There's a government that is waiting to come into office. Why did you have to wait towards the end of the administration that is going out of office to launch your strike? And why does it seem to be a problem that the new government would have to inherit and deal with? Why not wait, give the new government some time to think about the problem and to find a very clever way of resolving it without having to force them to inherit a problem like this?
Thank you, my brother. CETAG issues, once again, didn't start today. If you recall, we embarked on strike on the 14th of June last year and suspended it on August 20th. And based on the same promises, evidence of certain documentation, and then the fact that even the seat of government, the current government, the office of the vice president, represented by one Freddy Blay, stepped in and promised heaven and earth that they were going to resolve this arbitral award issue. And here we are, still not resolved. So our action is not targeted at anybody. It's not targeted at NPP government or NDC government. It is Ghana government. You agree that governance is continuum, and if a new regime takes political power, you inherit assets and liability. So we did not wait. It was because the government failed to get it done expeditiously. That's how come we have gotten to this stage. So we are only making the public know that the issue that we started with years back from 2022, 2023, 2024, now we are in 2025, still has not been resolved. And the current government was the government that we negotiated with. And now they are exiting. That's why we are still raising alarm that they should know that this issue that they have promised us that they want to resolve for us, they have not been able to do that. So they should take steps and then get it resolved before they exit office. And I think that will also be to their credit that before they exit office, they were the ones who helped the colleges to be migrated onto the university salary structure. They were the ones who ensured that our all-year-round work was paid. They were the ones who ensured that our letters, appointment letters were issued, and they were the ones who made sure that the colleges that are standing, which have not received their 2022-2023 brought up have also been paid. I think that is it. For the new government, I think some of them are already aware of this issue. If we take the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education, for instance, they are aware. We have met them about 2 times last year on this issue. Even the president that elect, he mentioned it in some of his campaign tour, during his campaign tour, that the government is being insensitive to CETAG members. And if they love this teacher, they would have resolved their issue by now. So our issue is not new. All the government, old and new, they are aware. So if it will even take both parties to collaborate and resolve this issue for us, I think that is great. They have to do that. We are not targeting anybody. We are not targeting any government. We are only making sure that the Ghana government gets us migrated. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maxwell Bunu, the president of CETAG, for talking to us. Your comments are welcome. 0549986 996 0549986 996. Let me take you to another story, and we will be speaking to Dr. Samuel Adai Boateng, who is the principal. It's actually Prinkov. Okay, I'll correct that. I'll be right back. Oh, okay. So, forgive me. So, I'm speaking to Dr. Samuel Adai Boateng, who is the with the principals of colleges of education. He's on the line to speak to us about what's happening with the various colleges. There's an appeal that the colleges should not reopen because there are problems having to do with funding and related matters. Good evening, sir, and thank you so much for joining us this evening on Eyewitness News. But first of all, what is your understanding of the state of affairs? Are we in a good position to reopen?
Thank you very much. This question, I'm not particularly sure which indicators you are using to ask whether are we in a good position to reopen, whether it's about the CETAG strike or it's about funding, as you earlier on said in your introductory remarks, or it is about both. I'm not particularly sure. But if I must go on to say something, I think that by and large, problems exist. We can never finish solving all the problems that we have, but yet we must navigate through the storms and manage whatever situation that there is. So coming from that angle, I would say that no matter how difficult things may seem, we can reopen.
But if you reopen and there are no lecturers there to teach the students, then there's a problem.
Yes, of course. If there are no lecturers to teach the students, there will be a problem. But you see, let me quickly add that if we are reopening today, we don't start teaching, especially for all students today. You have to go through registration. First-year students will have to go through some orientations and so on. But we are very confident that today there has been a meeting and we have an understanding. We believe that by the time we reopen, something positive would have come out. So it wouldn't be the case of no show, as currently a letter is out saying that all services have been withdrawn. We are really hopeful that things will change.
I just spoke a short while ago to Mr. Maxwell Bunu, who told me that, well, they are ready to amend some elements of the strike, but they are unable to call off the strike entirely because there are outstanding matters that have got to be addressed. In your view, what elements need to be modified in order to ensure that academic work does not immediately suffer?
Well, I cannot really decide for CETAG, and I want to really abstain from making suggestions at this stage. But like you said, as Mr. Bunu said, we have had a meeting and we have come to an understanding that doing a total strike will not really be in the good interest of the colleges of education, including the teaching staff themselves, because when there is a strike and academic work is not going on, what happens is that when we resume or when they come back from the strike, those hours that were not utilized, those periods that were not utilized will have to be added on. And it will mean cutting short some of the vacation periods and readjusting a lot of activities. It may even go in to affect their own research and data collection activities. So I believe it is not in anybody's interest that we drag on. And I want to believe that when they meet at their council level, they will analyze the issues and they will come out and tell us which services they are restoring and which services they may want to keep suspended for the time being.
In the meantime, what will be your message to parents who are worried about what exactly will happen to the admission of the awards, and then also students who are unsure as to whether they should return to campus in order to ensure that studies resume?
All right, so thank you. What I would tell parents is that they should be calm. They should remain calm. We are still talking around the table, around the clock, to ensure that academic work resumes on the 13th of January as they have been informed. And today is just the 3rd. We have 10 more days ahead. It is our belief that within the next 10 days, a lot will happen and our tutors will be back to campus to help academic work to begin as has been programmed. So parents shouldn't worry. On the part of students, we want to encourage them to come to school. When we inform them to come, we want to encourage them to come to school because everything we believe will be sorted out by that time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Samuel Adai-Boateng, Prinkoff General Secretary, for talking to us. 97.3 Citi FM is the station. This is Eyewitness News. Your comments are welcome. 054-9986-996. Let's get back to education before we bring you point blank on Eyewitness News.
Okay, now the 2024-2025 academic calendar officially began today, January 3, with senior high school students across Ghana resuming classes as confirmed by the Ghana Education Service. This follows the GES's assurance that the academic calendar will proceed as planned, despite financial concerns raised by key education stakeholders, particularly the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools, CHAS. Speaking, CNews News Chairman of the Parent Teacher Association of the Laboni Senior High School, James Oko, mentioned that students reported to school without major challenges. This comes amid ongoing financial concerns highlighted by CHAS.
We heard concerning GS or Teachers Union about about information put in before the government concerning the children reporting. But however, we also work with the school management. We were trying to get information from school management concerning what we heard. And the management statement to us as PTA is that the children are reporting today. And however, we also know the time normally our children report. So yesterday we put it on our platforms, our various platforms that we have. The parents should take it note that children are reporting, the boarders are reporting today. And as I came here today, teachers are also on board. That is the house masters and house mistresses are on board receiving the children. Asked to directive from the GES, we don't know anything about it. So however, we are here as parents, since we've gotten information that our children are coming as a citizen and a concerned parent. Most of the parents have brought their children and they are being checked in.
James Ablo Oko is the chairman of the Parent Teacher Association of Laboni Senior High School.
Eyewitness happens.
Oh, jump on go. Ah, go me. At what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I not change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Cause now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind self be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open them.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, they make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside?
I give you info. Make a fill the gobe too small.
Go.
Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
The festive season is here. You know what that means. Groceries, bills, and so many unplanned expenses. But don't panic. There's a cool new feature on Haptel you have to know about. It's called Pay Small. Yes, like the name says, Pay Small. It's Ghana's first widely and instantly available buy now, Pay Small service. With Pay Small, you can buy food, groceries, airtime, and pay all your bills without paying the full amount upfront. So this festive season, you're sorted. Pay a small fraction of what you're buying now and spread the rest into 3 weekly payments. All you need is your Ghana card to activate it and you're set. It's the perfect solution to keep your pockets in check this festive season and beyond. So don't wait. Go to your Haptel app now and choose Pay Small as your payment option. Haptel is everything you.
Get ready for an exciting weekend of Premier League action.
Opportunity for Iwobi again from distance. Cross shot. Oh, and it's put into the back of the net.
Join the City Sports team as we bring you live radio commentary featuring your favorite teams, players, and managers. We kick off Week 20 on Saturday, January 4th, 2025 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as Tottenham takes on Newcastle United at 12:30 p.m. Later on in the day, title contenders Chelsea visit Selhurst Park to take on Crystal Palace at 3 p.m. Saturday's action ends when Arsenal visits the Amex to take on Brighton at 5:30 p.m. On Sunday, January 5th, Inform Fulham host Ipswich Town at Craven Cottage at 2 p.m. Then, all attention goes to Anfield as league leaders Liverpool take on struggling Manchester United at 4:30 p.m. Will the title contenders continue their charge? Can the underdogs cause a surprise? Tune in as we break down the numbers, the trends, rules, transfer gossip, and a whole lot more while serving you top-notch match analysis. Don't miss the drama, the goals, and the unforgettable moments. Only on this weekend's EPL show on 97.3 Citi FM.
New Kivo Hot Pepper Powder. This advert is FDA approved.
Oh, jump on now. Go. Google me. At what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I don't change my car. It be the same, right? It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Cause now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind self be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open them.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my go be fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my go be inside?
I give you info. Make a fill the go be too small.
Go.
Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
It's time to reset yourself and everything else around you for success in the new year. Tune in to the Effective Living Series 2025 this January on Channel 1 TV and 97.3 Citi FM. Start your year with insightful discussions and expert tips on personal growth, health, success, and more. From the 6th of January, join Apioko and Caleb Kuda engage our guests with various expertise on the Effective Living Series for a comprehensive guide to resetting your life in 2025. Week 1 kicks off with personal reset. Week 2 focuses on resetting your personal economy. Week 3 is all about resetting your health. Week 4, resetting business, calibrate, remodel, and rebuild. Catch the Effective Living Series live on the City Breakfast Show on 97.3 Citi FM and Breakfast Daily on Channel 1 TV, Monday through Thursday. Don't miss out on transforming your life for the better every week only on Channel 1 TV and 97.3 Citi FM. The Effective Living Series 2025 is powered by Channel 1 TV and 97.3 Citi FM and is proudly sponsored by Hallmark Cafe. Hallmark Cafe, delight in every sip and bite.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Good evening. News, and tonight on Point Blank, the national chairman of the MPP, a former national chairman of the MPP actually, has been expressing satisfaction regarding the performance of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Freddy Blay, under whose chairmanship Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo became president, has been talking to Hansen Ajiman of Citi News following the president's address to Parliament much earlier today.
The saying goes that tempus fugit, that is time runneth. When you are busy, when you are at a project, when you are in nation building, the time appears short. But definitely 8 years in one's life, in the life of a nation, maybe in the life of the world itself, I would describe it as too short.
When you set out your money in 2016 to place on the president, do you have any doubt that he will be able to make it for the full term of 2 terms as is in the constitution?
Of course I did. I had no doubts about it, and time has proved me right, and at least for me, talking to you here, Hansen, that it has been 8 years of exciting moments, 8 years of hard work, 8 years of achievement. But of course, there is still room for improvement. And again, we go back to your first question. Too short a time when there is so much to achieve. This country is described as a developed nation. It means we have a lot to catch up with in terms of improving the quality of life of our people and ensuring that not just GDP and all that infrastructures are built, but in the quality of life on the whole of our people, there is still work to be done. So the time still remains quite short in the 8 years.
Is the man Nanando you knew in 8 years ago? Of course, you knew him long before that, but 8 years ago, before becoming president, then candidate, and the man in the next 3 days expected to become former president, the same person?
For sure. Of course, 8 years as we talk about has had a toll like anybody else as an individual on his health and toughness and what can you call it. But essentially he's remained wiser, I believe, a man who is satisfied with what is done. Of course, looking back, could have said that a few things maybe could have been done differently. But on the balance, I think he's a happy man, and I'm happy that I've been associated with his government, with him as a person, with the party, and what we have achieved. The only blot in the political life of our party, and indeed this country, is that we never had the opportunity to make Dr. Bawumia 2024 the president of this country.
We'll come back to that, but for critics like persons who have been with Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, some of them say that on principle level, they think that he's changed more as a president, and for some of them, they are in some one way or the other disappointed.
Well, I can't speak for anybody. I can speak for myself, and I speak for some good friends of mine. And then, as I said, I've had the privilege of being a member of parliament, privilege of being a chairman of MPP, which I have gratefully made a contribution to as a person, and indeed as a presidential candidate. Later on, for president for 8 years, I have no reason whatsoever, and I'm being very honest and sincere with you, to have come to a conclusion that the man has changed, and that principle maybe he is not what he had given an impression he was 8 years ago. On the contrary, indeed, he has reinforced in me the belief that Well, when you have confidence in some people, you support him, you work with him, and tirelessly, the man had worked hard till tomorrow or thereabout, 3 days from now, when he will come to the end of an 8-year term of being the president of this country.
Critics say he held on to certain principles that did not help. For instance, he's mentioned that he upholds loyalty, but they thought that there were instances that he could have drawn the line. For instance, when it came to the level that people said some of his ministers or some of his appointees ought to have been let to go, like Ken Ofori-Atta, but he still held on to them.
Well, it's not an issue of loyalty. Now you are looking at it very differently. When he says loyalty, it's not in terms of your knowledge of the person, whether it's not doing well or not. You have to let him go. You say, because I'm loyal, I will let him say no. Maybe I will agree with you that he was stubborn, and stubborn in a very positive way. He was at the helm of affairs. He was the president of this country. He had worked closely with the individuals who are mentioned. In principle, he thinks that if it's not bent or if it's not broken, you don't mend it. He was convinced that the people he was working with were good at the job they were doing. You mentioned particularly Ken Ofori-Atta. It's not because he's loyal to him from my perspective, because he comes from the same village or he is his nephew or cousin, so people may say so. But he was convinced that what he's doing is discussed with him the policies and programs that he was keeping to in terms of implementing in this country. He was convinced by that, and he thought they were the best for this country, irrespective of some people attacking Ken Ofori-Atta's personality. He thought, well, allow him to do the work. You will disagree or agree with him. But as I said, a result of what we have today have proved him right. The economy is rebounded.
Well, the result of that is inflation going as high as 54 cedis, the exchange rate hitting as close as 20 cedis, fuel prices going as high close to 20 cedis. That was the result.
Hanson, you're talking to me for a brief moment, but I don't believe you are talking economics with me on this platform for now, because you are asking me many questions. But touching on, for example, on the prices of fuel, Ghana is not a net producer. When we produce a little fuel, a little oil, but we are not a very light producer like Nigeria. So even Nigeria, prices of fuel and petroleum products have gone very high based on what is going on in the world. And indeed, we are not an island. Other places elsewhere also have fuel prices going up. When you look within this short period, or let's say 3 years now, and look averagely the prices of fuel in the subcontinent, even in Africa, ours may be the cheapest, or among the cheapest, less than $1. But it means the prices of fuel are subsidized in this country, and that may lead to some extent some high prices or to inflation like you have mentioned. That's not all. Various aspects of our life. Talk about cement. I remember some time ago was about 30-40, but it's gone up based on what prices, particularly for example, Ukraine that produces a lot of cement and iron had gone to war, and it is difficult to get cement from that country to supply. Not only that, now people have to go around before the transport prices of even transportation not only has doubled, but in some cases tripled or quadrupled. And that, of course, will affect us because we don't produce too much cement in this country. If you do, clinker and all the other aspects that go into the production of cement imported from elsewhere. So when you talk about prices going sky high and inflation particularly, I agree inflation went high. You mentioned 54% in coal. As I talk to you now, because of the COVID and unco, this went up. They are coming down. We are stabilizing. And I'm told today, I wasn't there, but from what I read and from what I've gathered, the economy is rebounding. Things are improving. Even the city, the almighty city, against the dollar and co, it's also regaining its strength.
Excerpts of an interview Hansen Ajiman of Citi News had with the former chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Freddy Blay. Before we go though, let me just read to you a summoning notice from the acting clerk to Parliament. Summoning of Parliament for the first sitting of the first meeting of the 9th Parliament. Know ye all men that in the exercise of the powers conferred on the clerk to Parliament, I, Ebenezer Ahuma Jietro, acting clerk to Parliament, appointed under Article 124 of the Constitution and pursuant to Order 8(2) of the Standing Orders of Parliament, do hereby appoint Parliament or Parliament House, Accra, to be the place and 5 minutes past 12 midnight, which is 12:05 a.m. of Tuesday, the 7th day of January 2025, to be the time when Parliament shall sit to elect a Speaker and Deputy Speakers, and for the administration of oaths to the Speaker and members of the 9th Parliament of the 4th Republic. Signed, Ebenezer Ahuma Jietro, acting clerk to Parliament. Well, that will be it for Eyewitness News. My name is Richard Delaska. I was here with Netili Neti Ajahu. Production work by Jude Duncan. And Philip Nate. Eyewitness News returns on Monday with all the news you care about. Thank you for listening. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.